Sai Ram. Verse 19, Ashtavakra Gita, Chapter 1. Yateva darshama Yata iva adarsha Yateva darshamadhyaste Rupenta paritastu sa Rupa anta paritatu sa Tatheva asmin sharire antaha Parita Parameshwara. Just as a mirror exists everywhere, both within and apart from its reflected images, so the Supreme Self exists everywhere, within and apart from this body. Initially, the spiritual instruction given by a teacher to his student is to focus or meditate upon a spiritual center as a point within himself. Consciousness as a point, focus within himself. The purpose of bringing the mind inwards is to direct the mind away from the outer sense objects, which pull the sadhaka's attention outwards into sensory gratification. The instruction of Acharya to focus on the self in one point. May Acharya says focus in the cave of your heart. Acharya says in the Ajna Chakra. Acharya says in the mirror intellect. Okay. All these are propless props. Just like you focus on the idol in the Garbhagraha or on the portrait of Bhagavan in the center. What is the purpose? You bring all your complete thoughts, wavering thoughts together and channelize at one focus. So you have got inward. Outward tendency is avoided at that point of time. This is required in the beginning stages or even at the intermediate stage in the spiritual sadhana, in bhakti sadhana or in jnana. After meeting persistent obstacles during meditation, the sadhaka's mind finally surrenders and it even loves to remain turned inwards. Slowly through one pointed and deep practice, the joy and bliss pull the mind even deeper within into the very core of his self or his existence or his beingness, and the sadhaka experiences the seat of consciousness within the self. The sadhaka ultimately awakens to realize the all-encompassing, all-pervasive, all-expansive state, Purnam, of the infinite self. Now there is neither within nor without for the self, it is everywhere. The center which appeared to be initially within disappears completely with the annihilation of mind. The self is so boundless and limitless that it defies all attempts at description or explanation. The apt metaphor of the mirror and the images reflected within it is used by Ashtavakra to communicate this. Till the time we start off, and everyone does start off the spiritual journey when on one side he is existing with the misapprehension that we are the body. So we have to, it is natural, we have no other way since we believe ourselves to be body. We have to, through meditation in meditation, as per the instruction of the preceptor, we have to bring in the self in one or the other part of our body. Body means all the three bodies. Okay. So, in the Dridrishya Viveka teachings, you were taught that the pure consciousness gets reflected in the intellect, which is Aham Kriti. And then how it further, like when a beam of sunlight comes and hits the mirror, how it scatters around and illumines the entire room. Exactly in the same way, we were taught that the pure consciousness gets reflected in the mirror intellect, which is the Aham Kriti, reflected consciousness, and then further it gets further radiated to the mind and then the senses. Okay, this is what we were taught. And this teaching is true enough till one has attained realization and abides in and as self ever. What happens after one has attained self-realization? See, if I say I am the body and the consciousness reflected on me the body, then I say I the body is equal to I the mirror. And therefore consciousness comes and touches one point in the body, the intellect. Some say it is the heart, and then spreads to mind, senses, and therefore consciousness is now within my body. That is, the consciousness has come and it has got reflected on a particular focus point in the mirror. So the mirror is the whole, and that the consciousness has reflected at one point of time and it is getting radiated. But when I have realized that I am the self, I can no more think that I am the body. So there is no more one focused reflection at one point with the other part of me, the other part of the mirror not being self. This is not possible. When the whole of me is the whole of the self, then the whole of the mirror is the self. Ever. Now there are two contradictory things which we have spoken. First is I, the whole of the mirror, is the whole of self. This is we came to the conclusion post-realization. Another one, during the journey, I, the mirror, still get the illumination constantly through the reflection of consciousness in a focused point. Here is the alignment of these two apparently contradictory revelation from the source. You can take it for granted that this is the truth. Take the example of a mirror. In a mirror, your face is shining. Suppose you are the self, and your reflection is also the self. Then the reflection will not be called as reflection merely, but it will be called as Atma Shakti. So, if the reflection of Atma Shakti shines in the mirror, the whole of the mirror is the Atma Shakti throughout. And the mirror says, oh, At this point or place in the middle of me, I am Atma Shakti and I am not the mirror, as I was pure. So now your face or reflection is gone and Satyam, truth, pure existence, face came. The mirror says, I am Satyam. The mirror does not say now, I am Atma Shakti. Let us go even further, beyond this understanding. The mirror self of sage has realized that he or that is the eternal self. The sage is also aware that he exists. The mirror exists as self due to constant, perennial continuum of reflection of pure consciousness in a focused faculty within him, mirror or heart. Within him, the mirror, the heart or the intellect. But now, he is aware that the reflected consciousness is what he is. His body is existing with. His body is illumined by. But since he has known the reflection as self, the reflected as self, and upon reflection which is continuous, uninterrupted, he, the whole of he is the whole of the self. Now comes the very, very, very important point. If suppose pure consciousness, sunshine, we said sunlight, it is getting reflected on the pot, where the pot is the mirror in this example, and the water content is the intellect, and the pure consciousness is getting reflected. Alright, this is true, very true. Okay. How it is true even in the case of the sage? When the subtle body gets weaker, the intellect mind gets weaker, the water dries in the pot, even he dies. So even without that reflection, even his body cannot sustain itself. It is true. But in the whole process of the pure consciousness coming and hitting the water intellect or the mirror and then getting reflected. Suppose the process starts and it is hit the water in the pot, or we'll confine to mirror in this analogy. It hits the mirror intellect and then it gets radiated. Suppose, let us say at, now it is 6:30. 6 hours and 31 second, 31st second, this pure consciousness has hit the mirror intellect and getting radiated. As he is speaking, it has come to 32. Suppose at 6:32 there is a break, there is a pause, and then the process starts again at 6.33. Then during that pause, the sage can realize that, oh yes, the pure consciousness is hitting on me in a particular spot, not on the whole of the mirror, on a particular spot, call it heart or call it intellect. And it is hitting now during the pause time, like the interval during the movie, the pause time it is not getting hit, so it is not there. I am not getting that radiation. My mind, intellect, everything is not working. 6:33 it is again started, now it is working. If there is a pause, then the whole Drigdrishya Viveka revelation, he can live and exist in that revelation throughout. But since this pause is not there, There is a continuum of reflection and there is a continuum of his existence as pure self-consciousness. So there is no pause between his state of pure consciousness and for a pause, for a moment, him existing as non-self during the interval period where the reflection is not taking place. Since that pause is not there, he is existing eternally as self. There is no mind or thought or there is nothing in him which can think or deliberate about his only one part getting the reflection. See, we say बूंद बूंद से पानी बनता है, ठीक है? Let us say Nainital is an artificial lake created during Britishers' time by someone. His name I am forgetting. Okay, he by some process part small reflection here, small water, this thing deposit there, it has become the whole of the lake. And after becoming the whole of the lake, again it cannot become a part, small. Similarly, the reflection is continuum here. He is existing eternally as self-pure consciousness. Never for an 1/1,000,000th fraction of a minute can he come down from that state of pure consciousness to ever deliberate that he is the whole mirror, but in the whole of the mirror, the self is not getting radiated only in a part, because he, the whole of the self, the three bodies, the whole of the self is now the whole pure self, Purna. And that is what Ashtavakra is teaching in this verse, which looks simple or which looks abstract, but which takes back the entire Drisya Viveka with it. Which entirely withdraws the Ahamkriti reflected consciousness. In the Aitareya Upanishad, at one point of time, the sage says, pregnant woman, stay away, don't listen to this. And then he finishes a part and then he says, come back. Similarly, he says, those who are not even clear about the Drisya Viveka, or those who are struggling to get the Drisya Viveka revelation, or those who are very much convinced about the Drisya Viveka revelation and do not want to move an inch from there, don't ever contemplate on this verse. Forget it. You stay very, very far. So, the validity or thought or deliberation of the process of how the sage is illumined, that is the pure consciousness to Ahamkriti, to intellect, to mind, senses, all that is gone. Whether reflection is taking place or not taking place, he cannot think now, because the whole of the mirror, the whole of the sage is the whole pure consciousness. If the one who is pouring this with his own inner experience, nay, his eternal state of existence, be allowed to roar, and for those handful of 3, 4, 5 of you who believe in his state of existence or that state of existence in which he is, then he roars, from me the whole mirror, tables are turned. From me, the whole mirror, the whole self, the whole canvas, the whole absolute Illumination is reflected perennially, continuously to each and every being in the creation, which is also without any time-space gap, and thus not only me, but the whole creation is whole self, whole canvas, whole absolute, only. In the most exalted state, he goes even beyond this and challenges the Aham, pure reflected consciousness, and says, now he has to be laughing the whole day in the office also. He laughs and roars. Hey, you, the reflected consciousness. If you say you are the reflected consciousness, you have no purpose. If me, the pure consciousness, the whole mirror, the whole pure consciousness, do not grace, do not allow you to reflect on me, you have no purpose. Where you will reflect? Me, the pure consciousness, the whole of the mirror, I am gracing a part in me for you to get reflected. Come on, reflect. What more can you say? Hari Om. That's it.